get it.
Mbijan raganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyenje.
Okay. What's that? Nsila ID soto.
That's sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbale.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe ko.
56 branches mola sota Gambia ja.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol dir fana beteata. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat
apelenta
baraka ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel ciosano lo.
Baraka.
Gamcell data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302* data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data is fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
Alright.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
Welcome to the Brunch on Kerr Fatou Live. I'm Lamin Chan. This week, we'll take a look at the Food Safety Quality and Authority's recent press conference, which confirmed that indeed the much dreaded chemical sniper has been found in some samples taken from different places in investigations into the matter that really have exercised the minds of everybody over the last 3 months or so. But first, let's look at matters transportation. Now, the government have come out with a statement over the weekend, or actually in a couple of hours ago, to say that there in fact will be no transport fares hike. Well, transport fares hike has been expected given the growing rise in petrol and diesel prices, and of course the chaos on our roads in the wake of the massive construction that really makes transport systems congested. Now, I drag into the studio here Omar Ceesay. He is the president of the Gambia Transport Union, and he will tell us or answer all the anxieties, ideas, and worries and concerns you may have. Omar, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cham. Thank you, Kerr, Fatou, staff and management.
Of course, our man from the food safety is called, of course, Bai Dodou Jallow, who is the Director of Scientific Affairs. Mr. Jallow, welcome.
Thank you very much, Lamin. Thanks for
we will deal with the transport because all of us here before we do. Omar, the government is saying, perhaps with consultation with your union, that okay, transport fares will stay at where they are. I'm sure people like your subjects, drivers, may not be necessarily happy with that. How did the government come to that conclusion?
We see the press release, but our understanding, the transport fare have not increased yet. But we start negotiation with the government.
Okay.
The process has been started. So we are negotiating our percentage we present to them.
Okay.
So as of now, fare is not yet being increased until we came to a final conclusion.
So you are obviously coming with a proposal to increase the fares.
We already do so.
You already done that?
Yeah.
And you are in consultation with the government?
Yeah, we have our first meeting by last week on Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
So what the government is trying to do, actually, they don't want people to jump the, the ship, so to speak.
Yeah, because we get information, some individual increase transport fare for their own. So that's
on their own?
Oh, yeah, so they want to advise us to stay away from it.
Okay.
Until we come to the final conclusion.
So eventually, we are expecting the fares will go?
Yeah, as far as the union is concerned.
Okay. What has been how far did we stand? Oh, I don't want you to let the cat out of the bag, but should we expect a massive rise? Because, okay, the cost of fuel, because normally you pack your justifications on the rise in cost of fuel. So, how far?
Yeah, because if you could recall, we have discussion with the union the past 2021 by November, our last proposed sit-down strike. We have been agree and discuss on certain percentage if pump price have been changed. So certain percentage you need to adopt the transport fare. So that was our last agreement with the government. So at that time the fuel price, pump price was around $52, 23 brut. The time we make that arrangement, that arrangement. So we took that as a baseline. So we agree with the government and the consumers. If pump price change to 20%, we will increase the transport. We will adopt the transport fare, whether decreased or reduced. But we will adopt the transport fare. So now the fuel price go to up to 40% instead of 20, up to 40%.
40%.
So the time we have been agree on that was November. We start implementing our fare by April. That time the pump price go to up to 18% almost. So the time we introduce the new fare, the firm price going to 22%. So in that moment, union, we are all Gambians, to come back to the people who want to increase transport fare, maybe it can be genuine, but people cannot understand because that is very short. It's always 2 weeks time.
Okay.
So we understand ourselves, discuss and leave things silence. So we are managing that situation. So in a recent pump price go to up to 40%, we feel very necessary to engage the government again. So we engage them, we have discussion with them and the relevant stakeholders. They all agree to increase the transport fare is very genuine as of now. So we present our proposal. So now we will sit together as a committee and discuss about it and see where forward.
Now this increment in fares, we know, in fuel fares, we know everybody's got the crisis in Ukraine and Russia, as well as many other factors have become. So when you increase fares in accordance with this, how prepared are you to bring down the fares when the pump price comes down? Or are they linked now?
Yeah, they're linked. That's why we mentioned in our agreement if pump price change to 20%, whether decrease or increase.
I see.
So, but in this subject,
but now you have 40%. What are you going to do now?
So we understand.
People are scared that whatever
people
proposal.
are scared, but we want to assure them we are from the community. We are all facing the same challenges.
Yes.
We are all we all know the current situation of the country.
Okay.
But we want to bring the level playing ground so that we have win-win between the community and the drivers.
Good. Now, what are the problems on the road? Quite apart from the fuel price being go up, there are at the moment chaos, if you like, on the highways. There are very little or very few motorable roads in the country now. How do you think this can influence how drivers operate, etc., etc.?
Yeah, truly speaking, particularly this rainy season, the motorists, particularly the commercial drivers, are facing series of challenges. Because in other period we are working, we can use the other diverted roads. But during the rainy season, you don't have that access to the roads. Exactly. So now we can say 90% of vehicles are using one route. So we are seeing also this OIC project started, bringing a lot of challenges in our activities. So we are facing series of challenges because from 30 minutes, 1 kilometer will take you over 30 to 40 minutes driving. So that alone is a burden because vehicle engine is on, you are consuming fuel, etc. The time also is very key here. So truly speaking, it's not easy at all. But truly speaking, the motorists, not only commercial, everybody has facing challenges, even the commuters.
Absolutely.
Because, for example, you are living in Brikama, you want to walk in Banjul, you're supposed to be in your office by 8 o'clock. You're supposed to be from your by 4 a.m. in the morning. So that alone is another burden. You close Friday by 4, before you reach at home, it's over 8 or 9 o'clock. So I think it's not easy. That's why always I've been advising as a transporter. Government is very particularly about this clock in, clock out. For me, to work in transport is most important to work on that. Because if you have transport to be in office, how can you clock in time? Because my brother is a civil servant. Most of his children, used to see him by weekend. Weekdays, before you go to work, the children are sleeping. The time he came back, they are sleeping. So I think that alone is not easy. It's another burden. So people are facing challenge, not only transporters, even the commuters. Our roads are very tidy. The vendors are everywhere. Traffic is not regulated. So it's a challenge. But I used to say this because I feel as an individual, the government have been neglecting the transport for quite a long time. So that's why today we are facing the challenges. Because since 1965, that we are not born yet, but we have the name of the Ministry of Transport. But we don't have any expertise there, any technocrats there who will do something to minimize the challenges.
You mean there have always been Ministry of Transport, but technocrats, the transport operators have never been in those ministries.
Yeah, so the government presently starting, having Director of Transport, but this last week, that's last year, 2021. Create Directorate of Transport, employ director, bring some staff, started working on it.
Okay.
So I think that's supposed to be a long overdue.
Should have been long time.
Yeah, and at the same time we have transport, commercial transport. We don't have any regulation in place. No transport regulation. We have motor traffic act, motor traffic regulation, but no transport regulation. The only law can govern people. We don't have any system in place. The only system can govern people. If you have such environment, to regularize it is going to be very minimal. After transport also is a sector, government is very open up. You can buy a vehicle tomorrow, you can be a transporter. You don't have any guideline, any form of protocols to be a transporter. So that alone is a burden. Because everybody can do things whatever you feel is good for you. So that's why the general public have been suffering. Government need to focus on transport very well, so that end of the day the end users will benefit. Let me give you a simple example today. Everybody is crying Ukraine, Russia, because of fuel. Senegal, the strategy they use today. Today Senegalese are selling fuel for $58 up to now.
$58?
Yes.
How do they manage?
I know the petrol is very costly, it's around $81, but they understand the fuel is connected to the market. Always you take the diesel, it's connected to the market. That's why government put some embargo on fuel.
Senegalese government.
Senegalese government. That's why even now our government trucks, most of the trucks in Gambia have bought fuel from Senegal, not Gambia. So that's alone is
they go to buy fuel from
yes, because it's different. It's almost $16 per liter. That's not a small money. I see. So, government also need to be very aware exactly with the way we are doing things.
But I'm not quite clear. How did the Senegalese government manage, you said?
I know. I don't want you as a Minister of Petroleum. But I understand they have been selling fuel for $655. So if you, into dollars, it's around $58. So vehicle go to Senegal, now they buy here 40 to 50 liters. How to reach Senegal? They fully refill their tanks. And
people who are near border.
Yes. So that's alone is a burden, because that's why today we drivers want to increase our transport, because the pump price have been changed.
Oh, yes.
Drastically. So automatically it's going to affect our day-to-day activities. Yeah. So that's why I've been saying the Minister of Finance, they have been saying they are doing subsidy on fuel, but free still they couldn't convince me. Yes. No, because they have been saying the fuel is supposed to be by $94, but now it's $73. But they don't give me any breakdown.
Yeah, or any direct exact.
Yeah, how to that position. Yeah. Because we're supposed to know this is the cost of the crude oil at the international market. This is the CIF cost. This is the tax exactly. So that exactly the experts will know. I'm not an expert, but they can analyze and see end of the day what the end users will benefit. But the fuel price is supposed to be around 94. We are selling 73. We subsidize $3. For me, that is very joke. And at the same time, government, if they are increasing the fuel, they will never notify anyone. You got the pump price by 12 a.m. in the morning. The pump price change. Gone. The government really know by end of the month the pump price will change. I think what
the government always said, well, this is free market, we cannot control.
But it's not. Some things are corrected. I don't think it's a free market. Because our government makes subsidies, put money there according to them. Yes. That can be a free market. I see. I'm not good in. I'm not a But the belief I have is why government control the transport fare, because they have been saying it's a subsidy. Government is putting some money there. That's why they have been controlling transport fare. That's why some individual, as a union level, we cannot increase transport fare on our own. So for that meaning, if government you are making subsidies, the government needs to come out of. But like for example, today is around on the 16th.
16th, yes.
On the 4th of next month, government know whether fuel prices are going to increase or not. Government can inform the general public. Yeah. On the 1st, fuel going to be increased this and this and because of the people will know whether it's genuine or not.
But to get a break in the end.
By 12 a.m. you go to the petrol station and fuel is increased. Let me give you a little bit background. Yeah. Before July, end of June, we have been saying we have fuel shortage in this country. Yeah, even government come out, they know we don't have any fuel, so we have fuel still. Yes. But now, what do we understand? End of the day, the petrol station owners, they understand end of the month fuel going to be increased. It's not a small amount. It's around $8 per liter. That is a money.
It's significant.
So that's why they want to keep their stock until government increase. They start to sell it. I see. That's what the strategy are using.
So they have full knowledge.
Yeah, full knowledge.
What's expected.
Government expect to do.
And they will hoard it.
Yeah. So that was it, because they have been saying no fuel. But government have been mentioning we have fuel in our stores. Okay. So end of the day, on the 1st, since now I never hear fuel. We have fuel today. So that is automatically they have been connected between the Minister of Finance and the petrol station owners. Right. So government need to inform the general public, because government is here for us. Yeah. But today, if government increase the fuel price from 52 to 73, so everybody we also need to increase our transport, because we are doing business. End of the day, we expect something from them.
Good. So by this time I introduced Nyang Njie, who is going to be our expert.
I know he's going to do it, because I'm that's no area. I'm just
for both topics. That is the transport issues as well as the food safety and security. Welcome, Mr. Nyang.
Thank you.
Okay, we are discussing these two topics now. We have the experts, Transport Union President, and the Director of Scientific Affairs at the Food Security and Quality Authority. Of course, you know about the much talked about and much dreaded chemical substance called sniper. Good, but let's deal with the transport. I mean, the President has outlined that, yes, there has not been any transportation, any hike in the transport fares, but they have put a proposal to government, and they are discussing. And eventually, there has to be an increment in the transport fares, at least to catch up with the massive increment in the price of fuel at the pump price, which is now 40% or so. They are an agreement that if it increases by 20%, whether it's decreased or not, there should be a minimum increase. But now it's 40%, and they have discussion now to get that sorted out with the government. What is your perspective of the whole thing?
Thank you. Fuel is a strategic product that runs across all economic activities in the country. An increase in fuel translate to an increase in everything, food, cement, you name it, because it's a strategic product. But in as much as it's a strategic product, it's equally a volatile product. Volatile in the sense that political activity around the world, economic activity around the world affects pricing. And that's why in the 90s and early 2000s, the Gambia created a pricing structure, a pricing model that accommodates for such volatility in the market. And the price structure had what you call FLUMARA. FLUMARA is fluctuating market rates. Fluctuating market rates considers two variables, foreign exchange and Platts. That's the price per metric ton for what is bought. So when the Platts go down, the market will see a level price. Let's say prices are at $49 today in the pump, at the pump. And in the world market, if you translate the metric ton to liter, it's 38. The government will not reduce the price to 38. They will keep that savings of $10 and put it in a fund. And that fund, they will leave it there. It will grow month to month to month. If the prices go to 62, they will not also change the price from 48 to 62 plus a factor. They will now take from that savings, and it smoothens out the economy and it helps in inflation. Because right now, the government is putting fuel in the economy because prices are just going up. So society is not winning, government is not winning, the operators, transport operators are not winning, because right now the predictability in the market is so high. You don't know whether the product will go to $90 because we don't know what's happening in the international world. These are external factors beyond the control of Gambia. What Gambia has control over is to come up with a pricing model that whenever prices go down, we stabilize the pump price. When prices go up, we stabilize the pump price, but not a subsidy. Subsidy is when government put money in their pocket and give you. That is what a subsidy is. And that can be through the suppression of taxes or them taking cash directly and putting in. But this would have been cash that was kept and brought back. And the general consumer in the market will not feel it. So savings made, later on use. That is where we need to go back. We need a pricing model that creates a savings, because fuel goes up and down. And secondly, right now, there is no legal justification to tell drivers you cannot increase price. Why? Transport is not a regulated sector in the Gambia. When we say regulated sector, by act of parliament. What does that mean? Today, GSM, there's a flaw, meaning you cannot do this. Why? It's a regulated market. But in transport, they are using what you call moral suasion. You're trying to talk to drivers to come to a resolution that is both tenable to both parties, the drivers and the government, who is here to take care of the interests of the greater good. But right now, what we are seeing is more of an imposition. Price go up, this is where we are. And that is wrong, but I think it's time, sorry to say, for the drivers to challenge that proposition. And they have the right. And we need to understand that, because they are not NGOs either.
So they mean they must start agitating for regulation?
Not agitating. It's not the responsibility for drivers to agitate for regulation. It's the responsibility of government to sanitize the economic environment in all sectors, including transportation. And mind you, transportation is the nerve that controls an economy, logistics, movement of people, goods and services. But I don't think we understand that. And the reason why we don't understand it, Gambia overnight became a country. We were a village for far too long, meaning our problems were too small, our populations were manageable, And overnight, over the past 15, 17 years, we had serious population explosion. We have transport problem, not only roads, but reliable and good transport for mass transportation.
Good.
But back to the issue of fuel.
Yeah.
He is saying that government is saying they're subsidizing.
Yes. He said he's yet to be convinced.
Well, it is true if you look at the tax component of it. Because in the price structure, you have a 30-day average that will give you the Platts.
Okay.
We take 30 days what the oil market is saying. In Gambia, we're using Platts Northwest Europe. That's our indicator. So you take 30 days closing of the market and you do an average. And so you say that for the month of August, we will use 1st of July to the 30th of July. We do a calculation on average. Then we say that our Platts, CIF Banjul, for August will be X per metric ton. Then you have importers margin. You have dealers margin. You have the processing cost and the foreign exchange rate that the government is applying for that price structure. Then the final figure will be your pump price. So when you have that pump price, you have no choice but to give it. But guess what? If we are just going by the international market for over 7 months, going 9, prices should have increased. But for political reasons, we suppress the prices from October to, let's say, February. Why? Because it was a political season and that was the last thing they needed. But anyone following the oil market would have told you that the price in Gambia from October to January
was not sustainable.
was not the realistic price. It was suppressed. Now, campaign season is over.
So it has to come up.
Not it has to come up. Government cannot lose revenue. And importers are not charitable organizations either. You cannot tell them underprice the commodity you're bringing in. So now we are getting the true cost of the product. But us getting the true cost of the product is doing 3 things. It's fueling inflation. Our disposable income at the end of the month, if you were able to put in your pocket after all your expenditures $800, today you are minus 200, meaning you are borrowing somewhere else. That 800 has been wiped and you're owing someone an extra 200. So the Gambian is worse off, society is worse off, and yesterday I said something on one of my live broadcasts that there is a looming food crisis in this country and it will hit the country most likely around October. Why am I saying this? Food will continue to come from Southeast Asia, i.e. rice. Flour will come, i.e. Pakistan, Russia and others. But the price of bread, the price of a bag of rice is now having what you call multiple pressure. What is multiple pressure? The commodity itself is having a pressure in terms of pricing. Logistics of moving the commodity, meaning freight from Russia to Gambia, is having a pressure. Internally, that commodity, once it hits the port, is having a pressure of transportation. That is going to spell disaster for this country.
Okay, so much about the transport sector now. Okay, you want to have some comments on what he just analyzed? Okay. Now let's move on to the foods and safety authorities. They came out with a press statement to say that yes, the investigations they have done as to whether that chemical they called sniper is been actually used in the processing of smoked fish. They came out and said of the 11 samples they have taken, quite a majority of them have returned positive, meaning there is some presence of that chemical, particularly the Tipagaras, survey and some landing sites. Now, the Director of Scientific Affairs in that country is Bai Dodou Jallow. He's with us now. Bai Dodou, I just want you to go from the beginning. What, in fact, has led to this hue and cry over smoked fish?
Okay, thank you very much, Lamin. Actually, the outcry really started through social media.
Okay.
The authority got the information through social media. To be frank, our inspection system and surveillance system have not brought it out.
Detected it. The members of the public.
Yes.
Okay.
The issue of actually putting sniper on the smoked fish to protect insects such as flies and so on really came up through the social media. So when it came up, because it's a very serious issue, food safety issue, so we decided to handle it, to treat it as a food safety incident. And then really follow our protocols that we have in our office to respond to these kind of incidents. And in doing that, we brought the stakeholders together, the various stakeholders, and then the various stakeholders, I mean the key institutions that have a stake on pesticides and at the same time food.
I see.
Okay, so we had NEA, we had fisheries, because this is a fish, it's a fish commodity, and we had NANA also, and of course FSQA coming in. And Ministry of Health also was part of it, the Department of Health. And then what we did was really, first of all, to verify this information. Because this information, before you start jumping on it, you need verifications. You need to verification. So we decided to have teams, to set up teams with these officials of these stakeholders, institutions, to go to the places that we know are dealing with these smoke fish, the fish landing sites where it is processed, but also we look at the markets where the fish is being sold. So we try to go to these places and do some investigations. Of course, during the investigations, they were all denying, all the people, all the operators were denying using the product. But of course, in some of the landing sites, the empty sniper containers were seen by these teams, and it was reported. And of course, because the investigation also was wider, you were not focusing only on those who are using it, but those who are also in the market, those who are seeing what is going on, because some people are stationed there, even though they are not dealing with smoke fish, they are dealing with something else, but probably they might see this. So it was widened, and some people said, yes, they have seen that some of them are used to take this sniper and mix it with water and sprinkle it on the product. But I think the scientific issue was the most important part, which is to take samples and really conduct a test which would come out and give us scientific basis.
I see.
So that's what we also did, was collected samples from these various places, including both the landing sites and the markets. So we targeted the Greater Banjul area because we feel that whatever we found here probably will give a picture of what is happening even in other nationwide. And the risk, the higher risk, because of the density of the population, is probably around the Greater Banjul area. So whatever results we found here should be sufficiently enough to inform what action we have to take. So this is what we did, and we collected the samples, prepared them, and then sent them to Senegal, to an accredited laboratory in Senegal. And that's where the tests were conducted, and we received the results. And the results come out.
You went to Senegal. Is it not because you don't have the facility here, or you want an independent?
We don't have the facility here. We don't have the facility in the country to test pesticide residues on fish. And even some of the facilities we have here are not accredited. And if you are not an accredited laboratory,
that's right.
The international notion is that your results are not very reliable. Even though you can test, you can produce results, but the reliability of those results is not very, can be questioned. But if you are accredited, there is a third party saying that your system is reliable. So people can use you, and they can use those results to take actions. And the actions will be considered to be correct actions. So this is why we had to go to Senegal, because we don't have that facility here. Unfortunately, we don't have it. So we had to go to Senegal to do the test, and the results came out. And in fact, when we went for the testing also, we decided that, look, we should not only focus, this is an opportunity, we should not only focus on sniper
alone.
Let's try to even widen the scope of the testing a little bit, and look at some other pesticides that might be present, especially these pesticides, because pesticides normally are used in agriculture. And also
why are they
in domestic
preserving food, the fish?
It's misuse and abuse. It's misuse and abuse of pesticides. Because you are supposed to use pesticides for this, and then you see that maybe you happen to just find out that it can
also useful in something.
It can also useful in a sense, in your own sense, in something, and you just pick that pesticide and use it without knowing.
Ignorance or deliberately ignoring the danger.
Well, people can look at it in different ways. You might consider it ignorance, but you might consider it also very deliberate, giving at least no matter little. I think people know a little bit about pesticides and its dangers and its hazardous nature. And
so
that it should
you
not be
announced today that you have found it on a large scale the presence of this sniper and other chemicals widespread.
Not very, very large scale. They were detected. I think the important thing is that they were detected in this foodstuff, in the majority of the sample. There was one sample which we took from Bakote market, and that really showed a very high level of the sniper ingredient.
The worry is that Bakote is a center. Fish could have come from Brufut, Tanges, everywhere.
Everywhere, exactly.
So if you found a lot of concentration of this substance in fish in Bakote, that means it could have come from different places in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, the interpretation of the result shows that because these chemicals are not ingredients that you find in fish. So if you find them there, then they must have been added. Or the fish have consumed them somewhere.
That's not.
So this is the issue. But if you look at the tendencies, you know that this is really something that have been added during the process of preservation and transportation to selling. So I think this is the situation that we have found out, given the steps that we have taken, and the results have shown that some other pesticides were also detected, like permethrin, cypermethrin were also detected, and even abamectin. Abamectin is used.
So one would have expected that once you made the discovery, you would have gone with the police seizing these things from people outright. But then you came with a lot more conciliatory message that people must be careful watching these things. People think that your reactions is a bit lukewarm, given the enormity of the crisis.
Well, actually, the way you respond to this food security is very critical. It's very important. Of course, you have to also understand that if you go to the market now, when you did the test, and if you go to the market now, are you finding the same product there? These are all factors you have to look at. I think what is important now is what do we do going forward, rather than trying to go to the market and just removing everything from the market.
Panic.
And probably what you are removing is not even contaminated, because since the issue came out, and these teams went around almost all these landing sites and places. And also we have been doing some serious inspections, and follow-up activities in all these areas during this period. So from our own perspective, the practice have not been happening during these last years. It has stopped.
It could have gone underground.
Maybe because you cannot be 100%. No matter how you implement, how you enforce, 100% is always not assured. But generally, we believe that the practice have stopped because the way it have come out, and also the measures that have been taking place. So going to the market just right now, trying to remove everything, it's not a good.
It's not the solution.
No, it's not a solution. It's not also a good way of handling the matter. I think what we have to do now is that we have detected these chemicals in our food, and we know these chemicals, are around, are in the country, and people are buying them. Of course, they are supposed to be used in crops, because chemicals also degrade when you use them. By the time you harvest the crops and place them in the market, it is expected that if you use them properly, then they are not supposed to be present by the time people are buying and consuming that crop. Or even if they are present, they should be at levels which are below the residual levels.
That can affect people,
that can affect people's safety. So this is why they are allowed to be used in agriculture. In fact, when research goes on and find any chemical, in fact, you know, as technology developed, you even see that there was a chemical that was allowed and was being used, but because of the development of technology and so on, it has been found that in fact, the notion that it's not affecting people is wrong. Even this small level can affect people, so that chemical will also be banned. So you see that every year there is a new list updates of chemicals that can be used and that cannot be used. But really the problem with the chemical is handling and use, and really could be being able to control people to use it only for what it is meant for, and not dragging it into something else. This is really the problem in the country, because the moment people get hold of it, the tendency is the misuse and the abuse is there.
And we cannot go without it. We're importing them, like a ban on getting them. Like, okay, we will get our expert, our analyst in the house to go through this. Omar, when you had this Kobolaka and this Chalisimbo, Nyesimbo, you are Sekunda, you know, but how did you go about? You stop eating it?
Yeah, up to now. Up to now, we are not using it.
Okay.
Yeah, true speaking.
Because it was very popular in Mahala.
But I stopped eating Mahal now. Because it's a little bit challenging. I'm not working on the food safety, but we have very good collaborator with them.
Yeah, the transporters.
Yeah. So
maybe your drivers will say they no longer have business in Thailand and other places because of this.
No, I know. No, they have a business. They have a business. They are transported. Yeah, but you know, for human aspect, our consumer aspect also. For me, I'm a little bit scared because health is very important. So at the same time, my colleague is working with them as part of their board. So
okay, your colleague is working.
Yeah, he's part of their board. My secretary is part of their board. Always give me the update. So I'm a little bit scared. So always advising my family, please let's care for the period of time. So it's very concerned for everybody, but I think their work is very truthful. So my little bit concern is the scientific material we're supposed to have in place. So I think that's very important. Always you go to Senegal, do some laboratory tests. I think we're a little far from that stage now. As far as FSQA here, quite a long time they haven't their food administration, you need to work on that type of materials in place. So anything, maybe the period of time, maybe since over how many, it's 2 months to 2 months now. Yeah. So if we have in place, maybe between 1 month, we can have a final results. So people can be well prepared. I know it's very challengeable, but still, they need to do something about it.
The thing is, Mr. Jallow, your outcome, you've been very frank with the investigations. But the caveat is that it is not going to repair the damage in the reputation of the commodity. So the traders really will take a long time to recover from it. People like Ceesay are not buying it. And your confirmation of, the investigation's confirmation really add salts to injury now. People will continue to snub it. Since they now will think that, the official confirmation is that it has been there.
Actually, I mean, for us, the important thing is the safety, food safety.
Food safety.
And really, this is very serious. It's very important information that you cannot
suppress.
You cannot suppress.
There are not two ways about it. You have to tell as it is.
You have to really, and the scientific evidence is there. And you really have to be frank with it. That is the only way you can solve the problem. You have to tell the people the truth. And so that everybody, because food safety is a whole stakeholder thing, and everybody need to play their role. Because, I mean, no matter what the authority tries to do, the authority cannot be present everywhere. So this is why it's very important that people know what is it, the consumers, of course, those who are processing and dealing with this product also are giving this information. They are going to be a major target, as we now have come up with an action plan to start implementing next week very seriously with all of them, targeting them, bringing them together and doing sensitization and training, but also pushing the enforcement as well aspect, so that even if we see any of these chemicals around, we try to deal with it. Using our various measures,
the powers that the authority measures to, or you get self-appointed police inspectors around the beach.
Yes, we are really going to conduct massive sensitization, but we also have a toll-free number, and this is a number that we are sending out. This is 1299. That if you see something, even if you cannot do anything about it, the moment you spot it, you give us the information. I think then we try to quickly go and react, because in addition to what we have in place, we also need information to be coming, especially to act on time. Yes, especially to be able to act sometimes on time. Yes, because sometimes if you don't act on time, a lot of dangers and risk are created. And you know, the risk that these chemicals poses to our health is far greater than trying to play around it. So we have to really tackle it head on, bring the information out, and really face the realities and do what we are supposed to do, and try to get everybody in the value chain to do what they are supposed to do, so that we solve this problem, and we try to make sure this kind of things is something that we try to stop.
Scientifically, are in there other substances, safe substances that can be used in preserving? If there is any, can you tell us?
Yeah, there is. My brother, people have been preserving smoked fish for many years in this country without chemicals, without these pesticides. I mean, people, even salty water. Yeah. If you use it on your fish, it will preserve your fish from these insects. But now people want to go the easy way, the quick way, without, you just sprinkle something and no flies come in for the rest of the day.
Even that alone can be a warning.
Exactly. That why all these flies are dying and not coming.
Something that can scare fly away.
So it's a huge problem. Unfortunately, I have not seen a society right now that is not having problems of chemicals. That is because of chemicals are widely used now in agriculture, and also in domestic, in pest control in houses. And this is why we have a problem, because these problems also you need to solve using chemicals. Of course, a lot of them also you can have integrated pest management, which would limit the use of chemicals. But the way the production is going on, it's integrated pest management is getting more and more challenged, and people just resort to chemicals because it's the easy fix. So, and this is going to make this chemical present in the country, and that is going to continue to be a problem. So you have to continue to sensitize, to train, to monitor, and to be testing also continuously. And even with the testing continuously, it's just a risk, because by the time you detect it, something has already happened. Maybe 1 or 2% have already consumed it. So the best thing would have been really these chemicals, they are seriously controlled and limited to what they are supposed to be used for. Only licensed peoples are allowed to use it, to even get access to it and spray and apply it and so on. If you want it, you have to go to a person who is licensed, and he comes and apply it for you and go. But the way it is right now, anybody can buy and anybody can apply.
It shouldn't be available in the shop.
Exactly, just like that. It has to be in a licensed shop, and the practitioner, just like a pharmacy, and the practitioner should also be licensed. So, because if it is that way, then you limit these incidences. But the moment it is too random and it's indiscriminately everywhere, then some people who are not educated, who are not aware, will access it, and the misuse and the abuse can be much. So this is a big problem that we have. What do
you think is the way out of this?
Well, before I get to the way out of it, I'll say once again, and it's sad that people sometimes see us as critics. We're not critics. We are government.
Exactly.
Because it's our interest that the country works effectively and safely. But generally, and not only on the issue of food safety, government is always reactionary. And that is bad. The reason why that is bad, something has to happen for government to step in. You see, when you say food safety, the first thing you should do, you should create parameters where people who sell food, processed food, work with. Then you have an enforcement mechanism to make sure that these parameters that you have set are respected. But unfortunately in Gambia, there is what you call food safety apartheid. The poor are not protected, and I will tell you why. The amount of resources and energy used to police supermarkets. I do go to supermarkets. You will see a food safety guy coming, punch a thermometer on meat, open a fridge, see how cold it is. You know how many butchers are selling meat outside, flies and everything on it, but nobody cares. But hold on. The point I am saying is, the resources that are used to make sure that supermarket don't sell expired goods, the resources that are used to make sure that the meat at the supermarkets are good, the chicken at the supermarket is good, when people are selling frozen chicken legs and no one cares. So that is, for me, that is what I call regulatory apartheid. You are protecting me, the well-off Gambian, and the not so well-off Gambian. And I think the focus should not be on supermarkets. There is so much energy in food safety as it relates to our supermarket than our common food chain, where 85 to 93% of the Gambians access their food. So first, the notion of food safety needs to change. Let them, I'm not saying don't police supermarkets, but their energies and resources should not be focused on those supermarkets, because the Sambafai and Hadisamba don't go there to buy their food. And if government is here for the greater good, go where the greater good goes.
In the markets.
Exactly. But the biggest problem that we have in this country...
I think they've been doing that also. Did they close the Brikama fish market? Was that NEA or not your office?
It was us, yes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is government is a mechanism. The mechanism has multiple tentacles. But unfortunately, all these tentacles tend to walk in silos, meaning they walk on their own rather than collaborating. And without collaboration, the system breaks down. When fish is caught, you have fish landing sites and processing centers in those sites. Government has invested monies in creating smokehouses. Now, when you create a smokehouse, you should also create procedures of how people should smoke in your smokehouse.
And in fact, inspectors.
Then if you create procedures to make sure that people follow these procedures, you bring people to inspect. Government should not wait for the for us to say that we believe there is something in this. There should be random sampling, picking from Katong to Banjul to see whether there are foreign elements in the food chain. We should not wait for something to happen to test. Periodically, samples should be collected indiscriminately in all parts of the country, tested. And food being something that's so important, even if it's not an accredited lab for international purposes, we should have a lab locally that can do something in real time. And I will tell you why real time is important in this. Because sometimes when people use sniper, concentration matters a lot. Just like the urea that farmers are using. The reason why exportation of Gambian groundnut has gone down significantly is because the way we disperse fertilizer is wrong. You cannot just hold fertilizer and throw it. When you throw it, guess what? This area will have 10 parts per 100. This area will have 2 parts per 100. So what that does is, when someone takes your nut to test because they want to send it to a chocolate factory, they say, the amount of fertilizer in this is so high. But if you look at the broader groundnut we have, it may not be the same. So we have issues here, and the issues, agriculture should play a role, fisheries should play a role, health should play a role, NEA should play a role, but the umbrella that should bring all of these people together is the authority vested by law and by legislation, the Food Safety Regulatory Agency, to bring these people together, organize them for the interest of what the act that established them said. So right now, there is no one policing the police that's policing our food. And that's the problem we are faced with. So we are all vulnerable. And if you look at the levels of cancer incidence in this country, it's so high.
Chemical things.
Yes, especially the Domoda. Because up to maybe about 3 years ago, a lot of people making peanut butter used to go to Saro, where those rejected nuts are. There's moisture already coming from the ground. They are picking what they think is good nuts.
Yeah.
They're turning it into peanut butter. You and I are eating it, and that's why
liver cancer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I said, and I will continue to say, development is a destination, and this destination is a process. We have to go through it. And if you look at America in the 1700s, they used to have serious food issues, especially the meat packing industry in America. Poultry, the same. But over time, they have done better, and there is still room for improvement. But in our country, it's not that people don't want to do better. They're not motivated, I'm sorry to say. And it's not their fault.
Or not.
Let me finish.
Not guided.
Let me finish. The people that should do the real work are not motivated. Why are they not motivated? They're underpaid.
Not facilitated.
The environment they work under is not conducive. You cannot bring a scientist and you don't bring scientific equipment for them to use.
Exactly.
Then there is no basis for them to give you a scientific answer. Or all they can give you is a guesstimate. So government also need to take food safety seriously by putting their money where their mouths are. These people are soldiers. You can't set soldiers to the war front with just a gun without bullets. They'll end up being victims themselves. And this is the problem that food safety in Gambia is faced with.
How much oversight or influence do you have over all the stakeholders that deals in food or this kind of thing? For example, agriculture, health and stuff like that.
Well, I think what Mr. Nyang says, some of the
he's not charitable even to your office.
I know he's always hitting here and there, hitting us. But yes, these are all he's really right. These are all issues surrounding the food safety. The food safety institution itself was created, and the objective is really to have a food safety system in the country which is preventative rather than even reactive of what we have, what recently we are facing, which is like a responding and not doing the preventative. And we have a system where we have for example, the Scientific Affairs Directorate that I head is supposed to support especially these preventative measures by, doing this monitoring and testing, and even having an internal monitoring laboratory which might not even be accredited but is continuously monitoring and testing the foods and raising the alarms and the levels and looking at the trends. So of course we still have a long way to go when it comes to the facilities that we have. We have a laboratory that is just beginning. Is housed at Walich, and we have some rapid test kits that we have there that we are using to test some foods. But of course, still now the scope of testing is limited. For example, let me just tell you this smoked fish. We even did a risk profile on the smoked fish. But just to tell you also the critical nature of food safety, we were focusing on the PAH, which is polyaromatic hydrocarbons that come out when you use cartins and this other thing to smoke the fish. Because when you use the wrong material to smoke, you might get some product getting into the fish. And we were trying to focus on these levels. We even collected samples, we took them to Dakar for testing, but we never tested for pesticides. Because it's not something that have arisen.
That time there was no.
Yes,
it was unthinkable.
Yes, it was unthinkable. Exactly. And sometimes this is the way also the realities will be unfolding as you continue to grow. You will sometimes really something will come up that you have not factored. That when you looked at the risk associated with the smoke fish, you look at the process. The process would have at that time informed you that pesticides are not used. So you look at what is being used and the risk that those things poses, and you focus your testing and so on that. So really, this is the situation. But we do have a problem, because the testing should not even be something that should be housed at the authority, at FSQA. It should be available in the country. For example, where we did the testing is Dakar. That is not a laboratory housed at the Food Safety Authority in Senegal.
Some hospital or
it's its own laboratory. because also you need the infrastructure to support regulation. When you are regulating and you don't have the infrastructure to support you, it's very, very complicated and very difficult. And this is why we are facing a lot of problems. But like he said, which he made one statement, which I really always also make, that it's a process. And you just have to be proactive, and you have to be really committed in what you are doing to be solving the issues as you go.
But Mr. Chan, you see, the biggest problem in this country is we follow global trends. We set up a food safety agency because it's fashionable the world over. But the most critical thing about setting up food safety agency is M&E, monitoring and evaluation. That's the way you control the quality of your food chain. I'll tell you, for over 12 to 15 years, if you are observant, you will see that catfish you buy now, it's like it's polished, it's shiny. You know why? You see the textile that comes in what the Wolofs call balot. It's just a paper. And that paper is wrapped maybe about 100 times, but with glue. Yes, that's what holds the fabric. They wrap it around it. So if you go to the Wellington area in Banjul, there are women out there just buying this empty long. It's about 1.5 meters, and they buy it. They use it as firewood. There is glue in it. When it burns, whatever is in it transfers to the fish, the catfish, and it gives it a nice coating. It is very shiny, it's very brown, and that's not the same catfish you and our parents used to buy.
Mr. Jallow will be listening. That's another.
No, but these are facts. Just go around the police station.
You see.
There are women. The catfish is so pretty,
like so nice,
golden brown with like oil on it. It's not oil. It's the residue that comes out of the glue that bonded that paper. That's the bonding agent. That's what bonds the paper. And now it's transferred
to the fish, of course,
to a secondary host, the fish, which we now eat, and it becomes us. So what we have right now in this country, it's the management of waste disposal, management of hazardous materials, and there is no management in this, and now every Tom, Dick and Harry has access to it.
Like he said, it may not even be the case of maybe banning this substance, but the misusing of it.
But that's why it's a multi-sectoral approach. It's a multi-sectoral approach, and this multi-sectoral approach
if access
needs
is limited or regulated.
No, forget about access first. When you talk about access, they don't have control over who access sniper, but the end results of who access sniper is affecting the quality of work they're doing. But if they have a multi-sectoral approach, that brings everyone, people who import hazardous material into the country, having policy guidelines that says these items, when they come, should be under lock and key, and only these people should have access to it.
Omar Ceesay, people should not
Then,
transport people.
same as the textile. Same as the textile. Same as the textile. You see, I am very harsh on the NEA, and if I have it my way, the head of the NEA to the last manager of the NEA should be kicked out of office. No, I will tell you why. Drive down going from Old Cape Road to Banjul. It's now a dump site. Why is it a dump site? Because you're closing Bakote periodically. These donkey carts are picking stuff, putting there, and guess what's happening? That's where our oysters are. It's coming back to our food chain. Look at what happened a month and a half, 2 ago, about that heavy oil that spilled. It's affecting everything downstream coming this way. And oysters, you need to understand one thing. Oil is not a degradable material. It takes
years and years,
forever, because the components in oil don't degrade easily. So therefore, you look at oysters, they breathe in water. Whilst breathing in that water, they pick food that's in the water. It stays in their sack. You smoke the oyster, sell it to me and you. we have problem. Right now, there should have been an embargo for the next 5 years minimum on oysters anywhere from Mandinari downstream coming
but even
this way.
The extent of this spillage itself has not been officially...
forget about the extent. The issue is not the extent. Waters are moving bodies. Happens in Mandinari, it's right now Kotu stream. The oil has reached Kotu stream. So the first thing you do is to protect society, and protecting society means taking that part of the food out of the food chain. Oyster, tilapia, anywhere from Mandinari to here, no fish zone. Safety first. Safety first. Even if we're to go hungry, let's not eat tilapia and say that tilapia from Fonyi and beyond can be sold in these markets, and you monitor and evaluate.
Absolutely.
So you see the problem we are faced with.
Are we even equipped to be able to do
Well, actually, I would say I think he's very right, and that information we have even passed, you know, to the stakeholder committee that is even working on in this managing this oil spillage. But there are many stakeholder arrangements at the authority and at other places. For example, with pesticide, there's a national pesticide management board. Even FSQA is a member of that board. It's housed at NEA, but you know, it's a multi-stakeholder thing. We have our various committees from our board down. It's all stakeholder, multi-stakeholder. I think sometimes, of course, there are a lot of challenges in the country. A lot of challenges. I think maybe as a developing country, which we have to accept for the functioning, because the problem is always the functioning.
How to get things working.
Yeah, things work effectively, because things can work, but to work effectively and to be sustained, because you need resources to do this, and sometimes the resources are there and sometimes they are a challenge, and this is where we face problem. But there are a lot of efforts. Even the NEA is talking about is making a lot of effort right now. This sniper, they have banned it. They have collected so much from the market is in their store. Right now it's even a nightmare where
to dispose it.
Where to dispose. No country will accept this. In fact, countries are even you know, trying to seek and hide with these chemicals. Before you know it, they will bring you a container of chemicals that is not good, and nobody is claiming about it. But they are faced with a lot of problems. And I can also tell him that, you know, he talked about the selective inspection that we do in the supermarket and not in the other areas. Yes. Well, you know, sometimes we have these risk-based inspections, and sometimes we focus in certain areas because of also capacity. You don't have too many people to be everywhere every time. So sometimes you focus on what you term as this time, these places, these areas might be more risky. Go to this, focus the teams on these places. Sometimes it's the markets, sometimes it's the supermarkets, sometimes it's the restaurants, and so on and so forth. We try also to be a bit dynamic and be moving in these areas, and sometimes this is why you might find us doing a lot more work here at a certain period than here. But we do go to the markets, we do go to these places. Really, we do go to a lot of these places, and we've been taking actions. I'm sure I agree. Still, they are not enough to solve everything, and we have to accept that, and we have to put that out so that we are also supported more to be able to cover more. But this is the situation. This is why sometimes you see us here and you see. But we try to. Right now, we have, even in the regions where we used to have people only at the border, we now have officers that don't have anything to do with the border, but to go to the lumos and the markets in Farafenni, to be looking at and try to go to the major villages and be doing some spot checks, and you know, and we see a lot of things. We are confiscating a lot of, almost every week we are disposing something with NEA. Really.
But you need to invite NEA here, because no, seriously.
What is the role of these people? For example, pesticides.
Transport.
Transport.
Yeah, they are very key. You know, food is transported throughout. And transportation also contributes, because some of the transportation breaks certain chains. For example, you need to transport something in a cold chain, and you transport it in the wrong vehicle, then you destroy the food, because you have tampered with the chain of that food. And food
But that's
transportation.
not the fault of transportation.
It's not the fault of transportation. No,
Yes.
he's asking maybe why they are a stakeholder.
Yeah,
They are a very important stakeholder. And we need them on board to help us in a lot of things.
Remember, we are sharing a little of information with them because sometimes we also have some information we are not quite sure whether it's true or not. But sometimes we invite them so that they can do their invest. At the end of the day, last time I think in 2021, we suspect one vehicle, loaded with expired goods. Vehicle destined for Senegal, but vehicle from port stayed 2 to 3 1 week at Canifing. So we have, our minds are not studied. So we do our investigation. End of the day, we understand the goods are already expired, but we didn't understand after we engage some authority. Goods supposed to be in Senegal. I thought if it's supposed to be in Guinea, but it's expired, it's not supposed to be moved. So we inform them. End of the day, they track the vehicle, they do the confirmation, they understand the vehicle, the goods, the product was expired. End of the day, they receive it and put it somewhere. But end of the day, I don't know what is the case.
That has been disposed of with any. Maybe we have to publicize more our disposal.
Because we also, it's very important if you know the outcome of the DDD investigation.
It's encouraging.
But sometimes our people think, we share information at the end of the day.
We don't see the outcome of what.
Yeah, but Mr. Cham, the biggest threat to this country is environmental degradation. I am a fan of the outdoors, and I spend quite a lot of times in our rivers, in the streams, along the coast.
I could see.
And what I see in South Gambia is not only alarming. The women of South Gambia no longer have knuckles because all the land from Batakunku to Gunjur Kachume, guess what? The topsoil has been taken away.
Wow.
And now, guess what? It's just like a swamp because they have reached the water table. Water is coming out. Alligators are coming there over 2 meters. And here is what the law says about extraction of sand. When you take something out, you need to replenish that environment later with trees and everything. South Gambia has been decimated, and that's why I am saying that what's happening is criminal, and the enforcer in chief, the NEA, has either turned a blind eye or is oblivious of what's happening. And you need to call them here to give answers, because our women folk help their families in terms of sustenance, school fees, medical bills, and today their narcos have turned into quarries. And see, and the environment, there is what you call EIAS, Environmental Impact Assessment. And this impact assessment should also have a social bearing. What's the cost to the lives and livelihoods of people engaged in economic activities there?
That in Gunjur, I remember.
So basically, they have failed their mandate to protect the environment, protect the sustainability of people who had lives and livelihoods in those environments.
All right. I was actually going to, we were going to have the last topic, which would have been the verdict on the NIA 6, but our expert lawyer didn't turn up. But finally, I would like to have all of us words on the roads. I mean, the president was out just 3 days ago to look at the road projects, and he was particularly not happy with the 20 roads put together, 50 kilometers. I mean, those are the what we normally call here feeder roads. Those are the roads that should have fed the highways with traffic. They were meant to be completed actually before the main highway is touched. But it looks like those ones are in shambles. They are not motorable. Now everybody is coming up to use the road, like he said, the Westfield Brikama Road, because the one to West Coast, in fact the coastal road, the one they call coastal road, turntable to traffic light, to airport, is not motorable when it rains. So all those things have happened. I don't know, finally, your thoughts, let's go to the expert in the room. How chaotic, or how do you think the swift completion of these roads will help decongest traffic?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cham. I think we had
Did you hear the president say?
Yeah, we had it. So it's very disappointed.
Yes.
But for me, it's not a surprise. We expect it.
Yes.
You've always, you were not surprised that even himself felt disappointed.
Yeah, truly speaking, let's call it speed is speed.
Yeah.
We are not a road engineering expertise,
Yeah.
but we all know that to build a road is not a small job. So the companies have been awarded the contract, the way they started their contract. For me, before put things together, the time is already gone. I think that's also is a challenge. So for me, President is saying is very disappointed. We need to expect it because still they don't do anything. They are in starting point. They are recruiting. That means they are not ready. So the time they have been contracted, we are close to the rainy season. We all know rain season to build a road is not easy. We already know that.
Yeah.
So it's too much of rain, too much of etc. So we already know things gonna be materialized. We already know that. So
That
I
is
think we need to
late
put our strategies together.
Yeah.
But to tamper all those at the same time, that's why we are facing a series of challenges. Those companies are not ready. Are not ready in a sense, because
the companies doing what the president said, lot 1 and 2.
They figure this 20 kilometers road.
They don't seem to be more.
Because for me, we have seen they are working with some members who have been transported. Even to fund they have contact with to pay them is a problem. They don't have money. So what do you expect? You have contact with Mr. Nyang Njie. He's supposed to supply for 2000 trip. He supply 100 trip. You cannot even give him that money. You don't give
So in the case of the two companies not being financially viable to carry out this, because if you look at the airport road, that walk on there.
You see what others did.
Because maybe they have mobilized. You see, a contract. You need to understand one thing. Procurement, especially road construction, once it's signed, there's what you call mobilization. They will give you money to move your heavy equipment and start buying aggregates, be it basalt, be it laterite, whatever you need.
And labor force perhaps.
That's the mobilization. Then after mobilization, you start. When you start, depending on what the contract states, you should have what you call a work certificate. The consultant will come and say, 2 kilometers have been compacted. I have tested the pressure per square inch or square meter required that, and it has met this standard. I will sign this so that you take it to the paying authority to pay. What we have seen on the roads, I think, is 3 things. Planning, failure in planning. Road construction needs dry season. Why? Road construction, the major work is called compaction.
And
you cannot compact compaction first. You need to compact so that heavy equipment trucks can pass without when it rains and moisture is high on the ground, you cannot compact, because when the heavy equipment goes, it opens it up. So right now we know that serious work cannot happen now till end of October. That's when the soil starts getting dry again. 50 kilometers of road. I think the strategy is even wrong, if you ask me. In a country where unemployment is high, in a country where NAWEC digs every week, you have a bus pipe. Why didn't the government, through NRA, take a big field, open a concrete plant, not to make a concrete road, but make paving blocks? When you make paving blocks, it doesn't require any skill to lay them. It means you can hire 800 to 1,000 youths in different areas to create these roads once it has been compacted, and all it takes is supervision for them to lay. We would have had the roads, they would have been motorable, we would have created employment, and when NAWEC has the need to fix a bus pipe, they will just take these blocks out, fix it, and put it back. See, sustainability is one thing, and you need visibility to see ahead. But if you pour concrete today, or you make a tar road, tomorrow you cut it. Look at our road, our major roads. Every 15 to 30 meters,
now we will cut it.
It has been cut through. How long? You see, you need to learn from your experience, and you find efficient solutions to your festering problems. But unfortunately in this country, I don't know whether people just don't want to think, or just people go for what is good for them rather than what's best for the greater good.
Corners.
No, when you cut corners, you're saving government money. They are costing government money, and that's why I say sometimes we are not critics. We want to know whether common sense is common. And people sometimes hate us for just calling the spade a spade.
So you see, if according to what he's saying, that the two contractors doing the 50 kilometers, because his president himself said they are not happy with us. He didn't want, of course, according to him, to wash our dirty lines in public. But whatever the thing is, the pace of the work is definitely unbearably slow.
Well, maybe the mobilization funds didn't come in time, because, like I said, the first thing when you give a contract, you need mobilization.
They talk about.
It depends on the contract.
But what if that's not enough?
No. There is nothing like it's not enough, because you do costings. I have 20 heavy graders, shovels, and these major compactors. I am moving them from Katong to here, or my equipment is somewhere in Fatou to here. It's going to be loaded on low loaders. This is the total kilometer, this is the consumption, this is the cost to transport them. I will need initially 600 men on the ground. Every day is going to cost so much. I will need 25,000 liter of water bowsers. I need 40 of them a day to sprinkle water. This is the cost. So for me to work for the next 60 days, here is my cost. And that's just common knowledge. The issue here, I think, funding. Not that there is no money, but planning. Because if you have a donor that's going to give you money, you just don't knock on the donor's door next day and said, we need the money today. Tomorrow, they said, why didn't you prepare us in advance?
I see.
They have 80 countries they're working with, so they're not going to make you a priority. And that's where planning is a problem.
So even if the money is approved, as in this case, money is approved. Now, the way you are going to access these funds to make sure that it really commensurate with the pace you are taking, all that have to work out.
You see, we need to understand how international public procurement works. A donor agency decides to fund you. They can fund, and they can tell you, hire a consultant, or they will hire a consultant. Normally, you are the recipient, so they won't allow you to hire a consultant. It's a conflict. They will hire a consultant. Then you do your pre-feasibility, whatever. Then you request for a no objection. You get your no objection. They approve the contractor. Once they approve the contractor, most of them, these are FIDIC contracts. On the FIDIC contract, it will tell you for the contractor to start, they need mobilization fee. Mobilization fee is X% of the contract sum. But if planning, timing is not there, trust me, you will lose the window of opportunity. And now the window of opportunity has been lost because of the rainy season. So now the best viable window is end October, unfortunately.
How are you affected personally, unofficially, by the congestion on the road? There is basically only one motorable highway, that is Westfield. That's why I don't go there for any reason. I don't go to that place.
I don't go past
go Westfield.
I live by the traffic light, and Maroon Supermarket is my cutoff boundary.
Well, I have to go from
no, not even Senegal.
I have to go from Bakau but Angor, when I am coming, is at night. So I don't have big worries. But when I'm going, I have to stay in my house for about 10 o'clock or something, when everybody is gone. All the madness stopped.
I think now when we try to go out, the first thing we figure out is the time.
Where and what the time.
and there's a major thing that's happening that we don't know. You see environmental pollution. There's what you call concentrated pollution. The Serekunda market area, the turntable area, Tabokoto, where the police station used to be at Old Yundum. The amount of emission in these areas are so high, carbon emissions. Why? Because of the traffic jam. So these all have effects on our environment and the people who live around those places.
You are thinking now, so bad.
But asthma is now very prevalent in this country.
I know.
And we are not asking ourselves why. We have triggers.
But the good thing is, at the end of it, we will have first-class roads.
You think so?
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I mean, you look at all these roads. If they are
The ones that is
my
coming
area,
out
for
looks-
example, Brufut connecting to Ghana Town, to Madiana, back to this highway, then Farato connecting to Jambur. I mean, Westfield connecting behind to Abuko.
Mr. Cham.
If the roads are done, I mean,
Mr. Cham, last week
it will be worth a while.
last week there was a heavy rain, late night, around 12:30. A friend of mine got stuck in Brufut Heights.
Yes.
In a big puddle of water, needed help. I left my house in the rain. Visibility was so poor. Guess what? From traffic light area all the way to turntable, and when I turn, there is no cat eye on the road. A cat eye is this reflector that shows you, even when visibility is poor, you have guidance. After that, there is no paint.
White margins.
White margins. It was pitch black. I couldn't see, and that is a danger. And that's why accidents on the road. So a road is just not paved tar. A road comes with complementary infrastructure. Signs, meaning there is a bend. Sign, do not overtake. Paint markers. So we need to understand that a road is just not only a smooth surface.
And we used to have what we call, when we were young, HMT, highway maintenance team. They used to have all this in place.
Well, you have NRA now.
No, yes, they should be better.
And they have a lot of money because the road tax has been abolished, and you're getting a percentage per liter that is sold.
$3.
$3 is for every liter of fuel sold in this country. Goes to NRA. So if you do the volume of petrol sold in this country a year, and you translate that into dollars and bututs, easily they can do 4 to 5 kilometers a year of new roads out of those funds and repairs.
So perhaps when I see Dude Senghor again, I'll
But it's not his fault. Money is fungible. You see, you need to understand one thing. It goes to a central pot.
I see.
The consolidated revenue fund.
Yes, and
so
now
now
they have problem to access. That's what the ministry.
Not problem to access.
That's what the Ministry of Youth and Sports have been saying. Okay, yes, you said we can.
You have
get
a levy.
Sports levy, yes.
Sports levy.
But then it doesn't come to us directly. It goes for the main thing, and the people in charge could violate.
But the problem is the parliament.
Parliament, yes.
Oversight
Exactly.
is what's lacking. And I will give you a critical example. Budget 2022 has been passed by parliament. In budget 2022, there was almost $30 million put in there by the Ministry of Finance that is income coming from petroleum. You cannot say that we are expecting whatever you put in the budget
should have been
is something you already know that is tangible. Now these funds haven't come. So two things are going to happen. Either you go for a supplementary to make up for that income that's not coming, or you do deficit financing. When you do deficit financing, you're bloating a bloated domestic debt. Alternatively, is for us to continue to be a beggar and ask for budget support from our multilateral donors. It's not dignified. We need to change our lifestyles.
Well, gentlemen, I want at this point to thank you very much for your perspectives on these three topics. We would have loved, like I said, to comment on the verdict on the murder trial, but our expert, the lawyer, hasn't turned up, so we are handicapped in that. But next week, of course, we will take it up. So Omar Ceesay, the president of the Gambia Transport Union, Bai Dodou Jallow, is the director of scientific affairs at the National Food Safety Quality Authority, and of course Nyang Njie, economist and analyst. Thank you very much for all of you gentlemen for your inputs in today's program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. We'll be back next week. Goodbye for now.
Kendall, hand me solar lampol make it slow. Kenda manila for solar enterprise.
Follow the Mungul and Yimbango can get them to it.
Sumanu baro, unjurungo. Konga fale ko namu badabanta. Bila vla sola la. Enye Gambia bino. Gambia la sola enter. Na sola enterprise. Sola ni battery kendo. Kurang ode dasala. Kaboro sinen namu. Kaji sena odila. Gambia la sola enter. Na sola enter. Na sola enterprise. Ah, Jallow. Sola kende soto. Yeah. Jali man fofena. Oh, sola kende soto. Na enterprise sumanu baro kunjurungo.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, Takaful Fund, management of Zakat, management of Awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Assalamualaikum. Nan lañ rek waaw togge gi ñor na te waaw hankay luñ wax cin bu naré neex bu baxé xet gi jolli xet gaa ngi jolli all over town lawa. Home again. This is home away from home. Lepp lo xamne rek da ngeen ñew holidays namon ko Gambia fi manan lañ rek bismillah hankay excellent mu ngi ni weddi gis ayu ciare ñu ngi nii nag nekkal lañ fii ci diggi Manjai ñu ngi on the Manjai Kotu highway ci boori lan Atlas bi waaw ci right next to the Atlas duma sax introduce bagage yi parce que bagage yi moom am sone waaw Kër Fatou def na ba baax dina lañ ko bennaal ngeen gis ko yëpp naan lañ nag anything loo lañ na ma rek boo dee gisu lañ ko fii ni ngeen di def rek mooy ni ngeen ko taamoo defee rek reng ma ne la aha ngeen ma loo bëgga waaw doo lañ bëgga rek ñu indil lañ ko muy Kirkland water muy Moss apple juice muy apple eve lu mu di nekk rek kañ so Charles mën nañoo doxantoo nii tuuti rek moom ma jéema woon gars yi rek liñ leen fi amal pine sola ngoog coffee mate ngoog waaw citronella candles. But then you like being outdoors, stroke activity, they enjoy the outdoors. Indil nañ leen different versions of citronella candles. ñoo ngi nii neexet nag ba bëgg a dee waaw bu dee sonn ngeen ci muntaay ga laa wax de axankañ ñoo ngi nii Domino sugar. Different kinds of coffee. My favorite in the entire store is this sardine. Sardine B. Dang ko lekk te doo xeeñ sardine. I've had two already and enough. Bala ma jeexal bitik bi. Wow. Bi mooy my fave in the whole store. Seasonings. Lépp loo lañ soxloon ci seasonings indil nañ leen ko. muy lemon pepper bi, black pepper, the Caribbean jerk seasoning. So bëggee def sa jerk seasoning, muy jerk chicken, muy jerk lamb. This is the one and only seasoning bi nga xam ne rek moom ngeen soxla for that jerk. Different types of oil. This is my new oil now. Avocado oil. Avocado oil lu moo def cholesterol ñaari façon la. LDL am na, HDL am na. So avocado oil li moo def mooy dafa yokk cholesterol bu baax bi. Bu ko defee mu wàññi cholesterol bu bon bi. Waaw, I'm a health fanatic. Axan kay lépp lu ma lekk rek dama ko bëgg di bàyyi xel. Si secondaire yi nag na ngeen fexe nag ba bu lañ ma simi. Xam naa di ngeen ne fi mu nekk nii nag mu ngi ci li ko gën a neex loolu mooy lan mooy jaay affaire yi lekk bi Neosporin dafa nekk over the counter garab boo xam ne famille bu nekk war nañ ko mën a am ci seen kër xale yi buñ daanoo buruusu tuuti rek gaañu koo nga am koo xam ne dafa diabetic nekk sa kër this is a must have danga ko cee def rek mu daal di rek wér king waaw Neosporin a ngoog lépp loo xam ne rek most of the things I use at home I try to bring for you guys in town waaw tiki ngoog tiki torch you know bii mun nga koo def rek ci sa balcony yi mbaa ci lawn bi dafa daaxa yooyu waaw mun tay ga tubaab moo nekk nii then tiki refill la bee nekk nii yii nii citronella oils lañ yii those are different versions of tiki nga xam ne yooyu mun nga koo def rek at the deck the balcony outdoors you wanna chill out ahankañ yooyu noonu la cereals yi nii tamit these are all healthy cereals bi is my favorite organic la moom tamit xam naa diggante binta dimbale ñoo organic waa cereal boo xam ne la dafa am pumpkin seeds ak flax seeds ak granola moo ngi nii am nañ different versions we have that one and we have that one as well apple juice xale yaa ngi fi wala juice xale yi laa mun a wax bi apple eve it reminds me of back in the days mooy bi suma xale yi gënee nekk ndaw you know I used to love these juices emuñ rek si Capri Sun emuñ rek si Kool-Aid but dañ leen indil apple eve ba pare nag indil lañ tamit honest for organic kids waaw so noonu la bu dee nag yaa ngi am sa office and nga bugg rek covid affaire baa ngi nii hand sanitizer in a super duper size ahankay moo ngi nii de xam ngeen ne nag lu ma def rek duma ko cof dama ko def ba mot moo ngi nii hand sanitizer baa ngi nii a big size maalo yaa ngi nii si secondaire yi ana ngeen excellent different types of rice are all here so we just setting up ñu ngi just set up ñu ngi yokk more stuff as a matter of fact suñ new shipment baa ngi war a exit tey boobu dina war a am adult diapers you know the dispense ak yeneen so ñu ngi right here on Manjai Highway sori wuñ ak Atlas bi used to be Elton léegi Atlas la ñu ngi jàkkaarloo ak Dr. Slab waaw so I think those are very good landmarks so place bi naxariwta am naxariwta xam at all and most importantly di nga am space pour park so ñëwee all you gotta do is park nice and neat outside loo jënd ñu dukki indil la ko ba ci sa biir moto